What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Freedom and Scrubs podcast.
Welcome back. We are your hosts, Kim and Aaron G. One of us may be grumpier than the other.
That'd be me.
Somebody's not feeling well.
I'm not, but I gotta say, this liquid IV stuff is literally amazing, and this podcast is not sponsored by anybody.
I feel like they should sponsor us.
We don't have any sponsors for this podcast, but if you're out there and you want to, hey, bring it on. Let's go.
We're like huge Pedialyte fans, and we do Pedialyte every time or after like a night if we drink.
Yeah.
And so
liquid IV, or just even feeling crappy.
I feel like Liquid IV takes it to a completely next level, and I'm really excited about it.
It does, and the one thing I was reading up about it, because it was the first time I've heard about it today, but it doesn't have the sugar, it doesn't have the additives, and like Pedialyte has tons of sugar, tons of additives, and this stuff is amazing, and I was feeling really bad. I actually feel a lot better just from having two of those. Feel really hydrated and kind of like...
So we're sitting here sipping our liquid IVs. Dinner is in the oven.
Yeah.
And we are going to bang out this episode so somebody can get into their night-night bed.
Yeah, we're also out in the living room this time. It's the first time doing this out in the living room.
I'm kind of feeling it, though. I like it because we usually... You guys can't see us, but we're usually in our bedroom because our bedroom's the only room that has carpet. And so I'm sitting in the bed, Aaron's sitting in like a beanbag chair, and it's not the most ideal situation. We're here, we're like at a table, we're sitting across from each other. It feels legit.
And I ran a couple tests on the sound, and it sounded okay. It didn't sound echoey, so
we'll see. We just have a pug in the corner like tramping around on your raincoat.
We're in our studio, which is like we're in the living room kitchen / pugs running around on the hardwood floor, like tink 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 tink.
This is real though.
It's real life.
We're showing up. We're doing the damn thing.
Right.
Okay, so on this episode, we're gonna dive into extensions. So taking extensions as a healthcare traveler, Aaron and I just made a big decision about an extension that was coming up for us, and we have finally made a decision. And so we're gonna kind of talk about that and talk about some things to think about when you are on the fence about whether you should extend or not. So we're gonna dive into that. But before we do, we are super excited because, which we're going to dive into, but we decided in February, instead of sticking around for another 6 weeks, we are just going to take off and we are going to start our around the world 23 country trip
for a year
extravaganza.
We were trying to come up with something super catchy because it's our 10-year wedding anniversary, and we have been talking about wanting to do something big. We've been talking about it for, I feel like, a year. We've been saying, what can we do that's big? And so Kim was like, I've always wanted to travel for a year, so let's do it.
Nonstop for
a year. So
we're going to be kicking that off in February with New Zealand, and we're going to bring the YouTube channel back. So for those of you guys who don't know, we have a YouTube channel, Kim and Aaron G, and we did a bunch of travel vlogs when we were in Asia a couple of years ago.
Asia, Philippines, Thailand. I guess it'd be Bali, Thailand, Kuala Lumpur, Philippines.
And we really loved it, and we had so much fun doing it, and so we thought it'd be really fun as we travel around the world for a year to do every other day travel vlogs where we are sharing our experiences, we're taking you guys with us, and just kind of showing up and just sharing the entire thing. Anyways, please head over to YouTube, Kim and Aaron G, and subscribe and follow along with us because it's going to be really fun and we're excited. And Aaron's been working his little butt off editing a bunch of videos from our Africa trip, and we have so many cool things that we're going to start to put out on the YouTube channel. So
I gotta say too, we not only do just Asia and the Philippines, we actually did a lot of vlogs in the United States too of all of our little journeys around from traveling as well. Yeah,
we've got New York, Maine, a bunch of cool stuff. So head over, check it out, subscribe, and follow along with us. So before we get into the extensions, we thought, so yesterday we basically spent our Sunday 5 hours planning our New Zealand trip. And so we're kicking off our adventure around the world doing 3 weeks in a van in New Zealand.
Down by the river.
Down by lots of like rivers and mountains. And so there's a lot that goes into it because New Zealand is 2 different islands and there's a lot to see and do, and we're there for 3 weeks and we want to just get in as much as possible. And so it's a big trip that we're planning And so we got on Instagram story yesterday, and we kind of shared some of our steps that we take when we're planning a big trip. And a lot of people thought it was helpful and interesting, and I think we're just big planners, and so we wanted to share a couple of the steps that we take.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really crazy, because our initial plan, which leads up to this episode, was that we were going to go to New Zealand for 3 weeks, then we were going to come home back to Chico and work a remaining 6 weeks of our contracts, and then leave from there and start our travels around the world. But we decided, nope, we're going to go. And so now it's about planning for New Zealand, but also like getting the ball rolling. So we wanted to get New Zealand done.
Yeah.
And out of the way. Then we
could just focus. Then it's like we're starting a trip around the world, which is a little overwhelming. And I will say this, though. I'm a natural planner, and it comes really naturally to me. I feel more comfortable and relaxed when I have a plan. But I'm also really trying to have a looser plan and to lean more into
go with the flow.
Being more flexible and leaving room for like spontaneity, or if like something comes up and we want to do that. And so having structure, but also leaving room open. And so I'm trying to be less rigid and more open. And so I think that this trip is really going to help with that too.
I hope so.
There's no way that you can plan an entire trip to 23 countries, like point by point. Okay. So the first thing that we do, and I think, again, this just applies to any trip you're going to take. We're going to be in a van, but you can do it for anything. But the first thing I do, I'm the researcher, I'm the planner. I love like spending hours just reading blogs and vlogs and all the things, and just like gathering as much information as I can about the area that we're going to go. And so I have a couple blogs that I'm obsessed with. Two Wandering Souls are amazing. And then Honey Trek. Those are two of my go-tos that I go to.
Your blog is in B as in boy. B-L-O-G.
Yeah. B, so the reading, right? The old school blog. Old school blog.
Gotcha.
And then a vlog, for those people who don't know.
V as in Victor.
Is video on YouTube. And so my favorite travel couple that I follow there is Kate and Nara. Oh my God!
I was wondering if...
Every time! Why is it so
hard? Nate and Kara. Kara and Nate.
It's so... We literally say that every single time.
Kate and Nara.
Kate and Nara. Okay. No. Kara and Nate. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. And so, anyways, I basically sit down and just spend tons of time researching. And then I get a list of things that I know, like, okay, I definitely want to do this based on, like, what our interests are and what we like to do. Like, what can I pull from this and incorporate it to what we would want to do.
You're also missing one huge step. That's your favorite thing in the world to do.
What?
I cannot believe you forgot already. It's your
Watch
favorite...
YouTube videos and drink
wine?
What's
your favorite thing to do in the world?
Book plane tickets.
Okay, this is a fun game. It's a store that you go to before every trip. Babe, you always get Starbucks and go to Barnes and Nobles and buy a book.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, babe. I forgot about that. Yes. Okay. That is my very, very first step. That is one of my favorite things.
From the place we're going.
I know. You know me so well. Okay. I forgot about that part. So yeah, get a book, some kind of a travel book, drink a coffee, dive in, and then I start with the vlogs and the blogs. Then I get a list. So what we did yesterday is I basically brought the list to Aaron. We sit down together and kind of map it out and look at it and say, like, I'm kind of explaining what the things are, and where he's saying, I don't really care about this, or let's do this, whatever. And then we break out the Google Earth, Google Maps. This is Aaron's part. This is his job. You own this part.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, Google Earth, I stumbled across it not too long ago, and it allows you, if there's a feature now that you can actually create a project. So it was built for people going on trips and or doing research videos or different things like that, even travel vlogs. They built a feature in there that you can make a presentation about where you're going. But what I thought was cool about it, with the fact that, you know, taking the exact trip that we're going on, we're getting in a van and we're driving around 2 islands, there's a lot of points of interest. And so I wanted to see, the last thing I wanted to do is start backtracking and doing different things like that. So we were planning our route. So Google Earth allowed you to type in literally any, what do you call them? Like place, any like attraction, restaurant, camping, anything. And then allows you to like customize your bullet points or your little flags that you put in the map with where it is, like hiking or camping and stuff like that. So I basically just pinned all of these places that we wanted to go, and then we looked at what the best route was and then we went into Google Maps and actually got in the addresses and saw how long the commute was, and really broke down our trip to the final nth degree.
Yeah, and I think it's super helpful. Obviously for us, we're going to be driving around, but even if you're not driving around, I think it allows you to see how far things are, and so you can get a realistic perspective of what you can actually do. What do you have time for? How far are these things apart? If they're super far, does that mean you're going to have to rent a car or take a train or whatever? But you can kind of get a lay of the land of how far things are, and so it helped us get our route so we know where we're going to go. And then by doing that, we actually realized, oh my God, we have to cut some shit out because we don't have enough time, because things were way further than we thought. And so we had to go back in and like scratch some stuff out. And that was really hard because I felt like we had already got it down to the bare minimum. And then we had to go in and
we have 20 days of living in the van. And when we were doing the math of like, okay, we'll drive here, we'll stay a night here, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll go whitewater rafting, and then we'll stay the night. We actually got up to 23 days. So we knew we had to cut out 3 days worth of stuff.
Well, and then you also, again, want to not have it be every single day, because what if we want a day just to like chillax,
lay by the beach,
or go to a coffee shop and get some work done, or try to upload some vlogs, or
do our podcast.
Right, or do our podcast, or just hang out. So, or something comes up and we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know about this. Let's do this. So again, it's trying to like have flexibility within structure and a plan, because I like to have some kind of a route, so we're not just going in with a chicken, like a chicken with a head cut off. Yeah, because that's like a big undertaking. So, so basically, again, any trip, do the research, break it all down, get an idea of what you want to do based off the amount of time you have, and get on Google Maps and kind of see where everything's located, and then get a plan of how you want to tackle each day so you can be the most efficient and optimize the time that you have.
Yeah, not only Google Maps, but Google Earth. Go check that out. I do want to say, too, if you're going on a road trip, a lot of healthcare travelers listen to this podcast. Road Trippers is like an amazing app. It kind of incorporates Google Earth with a good...
Okay, just want to check our dinner. Keep going. Just making sure the eggs aren't burning. Okay.
With a good... It gives you a lot of attractions and things like that, and maps out your route. So it's like Google Maps, Google Earth, and then it's
perfect.
Road Trippers.
Okay, so let's talk about extensions. We're going to give you guys just a couple of tips for extensions, because this comes up a lot, especially for newer travelers that aren't seasoned, that haven't been in the game for a long time, and they're not really sure when the situation comes up. And we just had this situation ourselves where we were faced whether we should extend or not. And again, just for those of you guys who may not know what we're talking about, an extension is, as a traveler, we work 13-week contracts essentially. And at the end of that, sometimes they may want you to stay longer, and you would be extending your contract for however long they would need you.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of things, it's not just the logistical stuff. A lot of the stuff we hear is the mental capacity of, I feel like they'll be upset with me, or I don't want them to be upset with me, or,
Yeah. So I feel like you're jumping the gun. Because that's what we were going to kind of talk about.
I was just going to say, we get those questions a lot.
Yeah, right. It's just like, what should I do?
Yeah.
And so for us, for our situation that just happened, our contracts ended on February 13th.
Technically, our contracts ended like August.
Yeah,
and then
we've extended a couple times. This is actually the longest we've ever stayed anywhere on it. We've been here 8 months.
I know. It's crazy.
That's insane. Okay, so our final contract was ending on February 13th. We're going to New Zealand. They asked Aaron to come back. So we were going to stay until April 24th because we do have to leave to head to Peru because we have our Inca Trail hike with our travelers. And so we were going to come back for those 6 weeks, and we were going back and forth like, should we do it? Should we not? We go, it's like you kind of just like wrestle around with what are the pros, what are the cons, whatever. And I couldn't really make we couldn't really make a decision, and I didn't know if my department was going to need me. And so, anyways, we're going back and forth. So we finally made the decision. We're like, okay, we will stay if they need both of us. that's worth it. It's money. We can save it. That would be worth it to come back for 6 weeks before we go. If they only need Aaron, then let's just pack it up and leave. And I'll ask my supervisor, and that answer is going to determine what we do.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is like Kim said, she said it just before she started talking about that, but we were going back and forth. Like, we weren't just going back and forth. It wasn't like, should we stay? I mean, it was literally like we were talking about it to the depths of our souls. Like, I can't talk about this anymore. I don't know what to do. I don't know what feels right. Every single time, like, I would think about it, I'd be like, but I don't know. I told them that I would stay, and should we just stay for the money? And I don't know, like, and all this kind of stuff. So we basically, when you get into that turmoil, you know, Kim and I firmly believe that we just turned it over to the universe. We were just like, you know what? Let's trust with what Patty says is what is supposed to happen. So
yes, Patty's my supervisor.
Yeah. And so we'll go back and forth with, you know, just saying whatever she says, then that's supposed to be, right? Speak through Patty.
Right. And so we asked, and then Patty came back, and this was a couple days ago.
Week, yeah.
And she said, they're hiring somebody full-time. The student is going to take my position, basically. And she's like, I would love for you to come back, but I just can't justify it with my boss that we would need you. And so that was the answer. It was like, wow, okay, so I guess we're leaving in 6 weeks. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy because I honestly expected them to want both of us. Mm-hmm. And so it's an interesting thing. So going back to like what you said originally is a lot of things come up with extensions. I was actually just talking to one of the new travelers that I'm working with right now, and they asked him to extend. He's an x-ray tech, and he was like, I feel like I've done everything I want to do here, and I really want to move on, but I feel bad because they need help and they're short-staffed. They'll have to bring somebody else in, and I feel almost like I'm obligated, but I really don't want to because I'm ready to go somewhere new and have a new place to explore. And I'm like, you have to remember that we're travelers for a reason. They don't expect us to stay and work full time. Like, we are travelers, we're on the go, we move around every couple of months. So like, you can't feel bad. They're going to understand. They're going to get another traveler, but you can't just stay because you feel obligated.
Correct. And I think that's the biggest thing is understand this very lightly. No matter how good you are or no matter how bad you are replaceable, right? There's always somebody there that will come in and do the job. So you have to just follow what you think is best. I will say though, never burn a bridge. Like, I always leave it to where, you know, I have facilities calling me now, like asking me to come back directly, like texting me, hey, will you come back? Like, we need a traveler. So always keeping it that, like, with those terms, and never burning that bridge, but also letting them know and being crystal clear, just being like, hey, like, I'm a traveler for a reason, you know, like, I left full time.
Yeah.
I really want to go see what else is out there. I really want to go explore a new town. Like, you guys have been fan-freaking-tastic. I loved it here. Thank you for the opportunity, but I'm going to move on.
Right.
And they understand that.
And, you know, even making up an excuse, too, because it's
you
know, Aaron and I have it easy because we're a couple, so we can blame it on each other. If you know, like, oh, somebody, like, if one of us is working, we're like, oh, well, you know, it's Kim's turn to take a contract, so we got to go, or
like,
whatever.
For instance, with this one, I actually told my lead, I have no problem coming back until April. But it was just, we had just talked about it. It wasn't like we were moving forward.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, awesome. Well, just let me know because I can bring in another traveler. So let me know, but I'm so glad you're staying and we're so excited, blah, blah, blah. Well, then when she found out that Kim wasn't staying, she was like, you're leaving, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. And so even though we had that conversation, I still was like, Kim's leaving, I'm leaving.
Yeah. But like, even just saying, you know, I really want, like, if you're taking a contract, just say in Colorado, say like, gosh, I've really, really been wanting to go to California, and there's a bunch of jobs, like, I want to go, I'm ready to go, and so I'm kind of just ready to move on to my next state, right? Or I really want to go home and spend some time with family or take a trip, whatever. Just say whatever, but I think the point is that knowing that if you're ever asked to extend, and you won't always, sometimes they do if they need you and sometimes they won't, but if you are, don't ever feel guilty or allow guilt to be the reason that you stay. Stay because you want to. Stay. There's a lot of great reasons to extend. We've extended many times here because we're saving money. You don't have to move around. You don't have to pack up your stuff. You don't have to start a new contract.
It helps with burnout.
Everything that entails. Yeah, it helps you just stay put for a little bit longer, and that can really help when you're living in a transitional place every couple of months. So extending can be a really great thing if it feels good to you. Right. But if it doesn't, and your gut is saying, gosh, no, I'm ready to go. Don't ever stay out of obligation. I see a lot of travelers do that, and I just think it's just a disservice.
Right. Well, I think too, the mindset, the first contract I ever took, they asked me to extend, and without even thinking about it, I was like, yeah, because we're so used to working full time, we don't understand what the life of a traveler is. And knowing that they'll just get somebody back in, you just give them some time. And so my next couple contracts, they did ask me to stay, and I said, I'm willing to stay and help you out because I don't want you to have to retrain an IR person because I knew people were taking off. So I said, I'll stay through their vacations, but I won't stay another 13 weeks. So you can always manipulate if they're willing to work with you in that way, but just know that, like, tell them you're willing to work with them, but you're not willing to stay past this point, or...
Oh, well, yeah, because you don't have to do a whole nother 13-week contract. You could do... Aaron was going to come back... We were going to come back for 6 weeks. Like, you can do a certain period of time. You don't have to do a whole nother one.
Yeah.
And then one trick also that we do, and we do this really if we're trying to make any kind of a decision, it's kind of like a gut check. We should name this. I don't know what we should call it, but it's like... Every time we just don't know what to do. We do this if we don't know what restaurant to go to.
It was kind of like what we did with Patty.
Exactly. It was just like a different version of it. But if we can't make a decision, what we do is we put something in each hand. So say Aaron's holding like a blue stone in his right hand and a green in his left hand, okay? And then we say a prayer because we always rely on the universe to guide us. And so we'll say a prayer like, show us what to do. And Aaron will put his...
Well, we make a firm decision. We'll say blue is stay, green is go.
I was getting there.
I'm sorry, and I was just going to say, like, whatever we say to those stones, that is 100% what we're going to do.
Right. So if blue is stay and green is go, then when Aaron puts his hands behind his back, because you're always the one with the hands behind your back, and I'm always the picker. And so whatever one I pick, if I pick green and it says go, okay, this sounds so stupid talking about it, but it works. Like, it really does work. So if I say green, go, and we both look at each other and we're like, fuck, no, like, really? I don't... Like, there's your answer. Even though we picked green and technically that's what we should go with, but it allows you that gut check and to, like, actually feel what you want.
Right. And you can actually feel a systemic response in your body. Like, there's times where, like, when I'm sitting there with those behind my back, I'm hoping Kim picks my right hand. I'm hoping Kim picks my right hand. And when she picks my left, it literally is like the wind gets released from me. And there's your answer.
Yeah.
Right there. So then you want to stay. Your gut is telling you want to stay if she was going to pick go.
Right.
And so that's kind of like really listening to your body. If she picks go and you wanted go and you feel nothing but like a weight lifted off of your chest, that's the correct answer.
Yeah. Any way you swing it, you're going to get an answer. We do this all the time for restaurants.
I just want to add one thing. We also have been known to write it down on a piece of paper and put 2 cookies.
Yes.
So we put one piece of paper with stay, one piece of paper with go, and they're written in the same marker. And then we put a cookie on each of those pieces of paper, put Mimi across the room and have her run to a cookie, and whatever she lands on, that's what we do. But we're not really... It is 100% what we're going to do.
She's very intuitive, and she knows exactly what we need.
But Kim and I are listening to our visceral response.
Yeah,
we're like, what is happening?
And we're not trying to sway her towards one, but she always picks the right one.
Did you realize I just said systemic response and visceral response? So what is it? I think
systemic is like
inside.
Visceral is like a whole body reaction.
That's what I wanted to say.
Systemic is from like the head down, like it's a whole...
Yeah, so visceral. So we're paying attention to our visceral response. Does your heart rate go up? Does your chest sink? Do you like the wind get knocked out of you?
Yeah.
Weight get lifted? What are those things that you can feel that you can put words to?
Totes.
Right.
Okay. Take that one with you guys, because I swear
that is a good one.
Every time. If you don't know if you should go to Olive Garden or
Red Lobster.
The struggle is real, okay? We play this game probably more than we should because we're both super indecisive. Actually, that's not true. That's not true at all. We are about food. We will get in arguments about where we should freaking go eat. About like, I don't know, you pick. I don't know, you pick. I don't want to think about it. I don't care.
What's for dinner tonight? What do you want? Like it's a
rage fest.
And I'm like,
it's a rage fest.
Burger, hot dog.
No. Okay, so The last thing that we're just going to touch on quickly is another thing that comes up is if travelers should get a raise when they extend. And so I'm not going to dive super deep.
No, this is a deep subject if we dove into it.
Well, I mean, it's not for travelers who've been traveling and get it, but if you don't understand how pay works, then yeah. So I'm just going to kind of cover the bases. But basically, when you do extend, you can always ask for a raise. Always ask, because if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. Okay. So always ask for a raise, because when you understand how we get paid as travelers, you understand everything comes out of the same pot, right? It's all based off the bill rate that the hospital is willing to pay you. So that amount of money is not going to change unless the hospital decides to raise the bill rate to give you a raise, okay? So we're hoping that your recruiter has given you the max amount of money they possibly can up front. And that if you ask for a raise, he's like, man, I'd love to give you a raise, but I have no money left over.
What you really want them to say is, if it's about money, let's find you a new contract.
Right. Exactly. The caveat to that is there's a couple ways that you can get a raise. A is if you, when we start a new assignment, there's always these onboarding costs. And so we have to get physicals and TBs and like all this stuff. And that can cost like a couple $100 depending on, whatever you have to do. And so there can be, if that hasn't come out of your pay package, then there can be some wiggle room where they can add that money back into it and give you a little bit of a raise. The other thing is travel reimbursement. If we get travel reimbursement up front, which we don't always, and that depends on how you want to arrange your paycheck, but if you've chosen to get travel reimbursement, so say you get $1,000, okay, to get to your assignment, that's worked into your pay package. When you extend, that $1,000 is your money, so that should be worked back into 100%. Your pay package. So those are like a travel reimbursement is a guarantee. You can always ask for a raise, and sometimes the answer will be yes, sometimes it will be no. But my only red flag is that if you ask for a raise and your recruiter, they didn't raise the bill rate of the hospital, so they're still working with the same pay package, and your recruiter gives you like a $200 a week raise, that would raise a red flag to me.
Because there was $200 left in the pay package you could have gave you your first 13 weeks.
Right. Because you're like, that money ain't coming out of his pocket. Where'd that money come from? That was yours anyway. So that's kind of, just an overall idea. So you can get a raise, ask for it. These are the ways how we dive deep into these kinds of topics inside of Traveler School. We talk all about breaking down your pay package, because you really have to understand how the pay works in order to get how you can negotiate for more and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So if you want to dive deeper into that, you can check out Traveler School on our website, kimanderinG.com,
and also freedomandscrubs.com. I just wanted to say too, one big thing is if you're having a conversation with your recruiter and asking them to raise the bill rate, one thing that the recruiter can say too is, because if you leave, they have to bring in a new traveler, they have to train somebody, the department does. So not asking for a $10 an hour raise, but almost like a $3-4 raise, maybe like $2-4 raise, because in that way you're just continuing on, and they don't have to bring in somebody new, have the staff train them up and get them ready to go. So a lot of times they will do it. Yep. Just to keep you around if they really like you.
And it benefits everybody.
It does.
Because they don't have to find a new traveler. They don't have to do onboarding. They don't have to do any of that. So it's saving money, and you're saving money. Here's the thing. Even if at the end of the day they didn't give you, say you didn't get travel reimbursement, and so they're like, gosh, there's no money. I'm sorry. Whatever, I'd love to give you more, but we've maxed out the bill rate, which is honestly what you'd like to hear. There's nothing we can do. Even if that's the case, you're still saving money because you don't have to pack up and move and
100%.
Get a new place and all of that. So anyways, different
things.
That's
kind of how I wanted to end it too, because
I was
going to say a lot of times you get travelers that say, if I extend, then I guaranteed a bonus. Like, I need money to extend. And that's not always the case. You have to weigh it out. Like, how much money are you going to spend, like Kim said, to move? How much are you going to spend to rent a new car? How much are you going to spend to find a new apartment, to do all the things, plus your time going back and forth? Are you making good money? Did you ask if you could get a raise? Did you ask to work things back into your pay package? if those answers are, they come up empty, it's like demanding that's your choice, but just understanding, like, if you got a good thing going, keep it going. Like, you're not just entitled to more money just because you extended.
Right. Exactly. 100%. I think we'll just leave it at that, right? I feel like we've covered everything. I'm literally starving.
I am too. I'm dying, and I'm smelling the food.
I know. I feel like it's done. I can feel it like browning and crisping up.
I was worried.
I'm gonna go change out of these gnarly ass scrubs.
I do want to reiterate, the YouTube channel is about to blow up. It's going to be awesome. We want you guys to follow us through our 23 different countries, our year of travel, our 10-year wedding anniversary. 10-year wedding anniversary, year of travel, 23 countries. Boom.
That is a mouthful.
YouTube, Kim and Aaron G. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. I'm preparing 16 videos right now that we're going to release rolling up to this trip. We leave in February and we'll start doing New Zealand. And then from New Zealand, it'll be South America. South America to, we think, like Europe to Asia. And then stuff in between there.
Asia, Australia, Middle East. Like, we going everywhere.
Everywhere. We're going to the Caribbean, too. So it'll be probably South America to Caribbean, Caribbean to Europe, Europe to
We're leaving room for flexibility.
We are.
Yeah. All we know is Asia. Or New Zealand, South America, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Follow along. Every other day vlog, sharing our story, sharing all the adventures, all the things. So subscribe, check it out. And if you are liking the podcast, please share this with your friends, your travel friends. Subscribe so you get a notice when we release a new podcast. And leave us a review if you're enjoying it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Dude.